now. So much going
Hope everyone had a nice lunch. We're here in the Ways and Means Committee room. It is still February 27th. And we are going to hear about a bill whose bill number I don't have in front of me. H96. There are 4 agendas on this pile of agendas and none of them are the right one. H96. Thanks for joining us, Jen. Really appreciate it.
Sure.
Tell us about this bill.
I can. So for the record, Jen Carby from the Office of Legislative Counsel. I am gonna, well, I'll tell you slightly about it and then I'll put it up on the screen. H96 is an act relating to increasing the monetary thresholds for certificates of need. A certificate of need, as many of you probably is really a process and an application for permission from the Green Mountain Care Board to pursue a healthcare project. And that healthcare project is defined, and we'll be looking at some of that because what this bill is doing is increasing several of the monetary thresholds that trigger the need for a certificate of need to continue with a healthcare project. And then I think we'll talk about what's in the bill, and then I will show you the fee statute that applies, even though it's not being amended, but that is the reason I believe it is here. So let me put the language up on the screen. So what we're looking at is a strike all amendment from the House Healthcare Committee. You can look at the underlying bill as well, but the numbers are different. So I think it may be helpful to see what was recommended. So this is amending 18 VSA section 9434, section 1, and that's the general rules for a certificate of need. And it breaks things out into 2 types of projects that are being developed by a healthcare facility other than a hospital, and projects that are being developed by a hospital. So subsection A is a healthcare facility other than a hospital, and under current law, it shall not develop or have developed on its behalf a new healthcare project without issuance of a certificate of need by the board. And so under this subsection, a new healthcare project, and the first change here is changing from includes the following to means the following. So we're going from a potentially inexhaustive list to an exhaustive list, so a specific list. So mean any of the following: the construction, development, purchase, renovation, or other establishment of a healthcare facility or a capital expenditure by or on behalf of a healthcare facility for which the capital cost exceeds, and the bill would increase that threshold. Right now, the statutory threshold is 1.5 million. This increases that to 10 million. The reason I said statutory threshold is there is language in existing law that's being changed a little bit, but not substantively, that allows the board, or in the new version, directs the board to index, occasionally increase that number based on the consumer price index. So we're scaling up that threshold as prices increase as well. So the statutory threshold right now is actually slightly more than 1.5 million, but much closer to that number than to 10 million. So new trigger for what I'm just going to call the construction trigger of $10 million. No change in existing law about the change from one licensing period to the next in the number of licensed bed of a healthcare facility through addition or conversion or relocation. No change to language on offering of home health service or transfer or conveyance of more than a 50% ownership in a healthcare facility other than a hospital or nursing home. The next change comes with the purchase, lease, or other comparable arrangement of a single piece of diagnostic and therapeutic equipment for which the cost or donation value is in excess of, and this would increase that threshold from 1 million to 5 million. Again, all of these have been adjusted slightly by the board under their authority. But this threshold would be 5 million. I'm going to go into all of the existing law that isn't changing. Also, the offering of a healthcare service or technology with an annual operating expense that exceeds, and here we're increasing from 500,000 to 3 million for either of the next 2 budgeted fiscal years if it was not used by the facility within the previous 3 fiscal years. And finally, under existing law, the construction, development, purchase, lease, or other establishment of an ambulatory surgical center does not have a monetary threshold. It's just anything involving an ambulatory surgical center. This adds expansion And then it sets a cost trigger of $10 million. So it's putting it in line with that construction piece. Subsection B is the same type of list, but for hospitals. And under existing law, a lot of these are different numbers. I think these are more aligned numbers. So the construction piece goes from 3 million to 10 million. I think it was 1.5 million previously for the non-hospitals. So now they're both going to be at 10 million. Same thing with the purchase, lease, or comparable arrangement of a piece of diagnostic and therapeutic equipment going to 5 million. Offering of a healthcare service or technology with an annual operating expense that exceeds $3 million. So these numbers will be the same for hospital and non-hospital, but there are a few pieces for each of them that are not in the other, or that are different from the other. That's why there's still two lists. And then there's this whole concept of for a very large project, for which expenditures are expected to be in excess of, and this changes that threshold from $30 million to $50 million. The applicant first has to get a conceptual development phase certificate of need. So there's kind of two levels of certificate of need that are required. So again, increasing the monetary threshold there, conforming change to reflect the new threshold. On the next page, saying no harm if the applicant a reasonable person wouldn't have thought they would need it, because a reasonable person wouldn't have thought that the cost would be as much as they were. So just making that same change from 30 million to 50 million. And then allowing expenditures to be made in preparation for getting the conceptual development phase certificate of need. Under current law, those thresholds are 1.5 million for non-hospitals and 3 million for hospitals. This would make it $10 million for both. All right, that's it for the monetary thresholds. And then in section 2, there's some new provisions in exclusions. What does not need to get a certificate of need? There's a long list in existing law of things that do not need to get a certificate of need. That includes things like doctor's offices that are not affiliated with a facility. So this would add first medical equipment that is fully depreciated under existing law. That routine replacement of medical equipment that is fully depreciated. Under existing law, routine replacement of non-medical equipment and fixtures, things like furnaces, boilers, refrigeration units, etc., are exempt. This also adds medical equipment, but only medical equipment that is fully depreciated. The non-medical equipment can be anywhere in its remaining useful life as long as it's a routine replacement. The question?
No, I just yawned more loudly than I wanted to, and I was embarrassed about it.
Sorry.
Thanks for drawing attention to it then. No, I'm good. I have coffee right here. Thank you.
All right, and then conforming change in what becomes subdivision 2. Then the other new exclusion is emergency and non-emergency ground ambulance services, affiliated agencies, and equipment and supplies used by emergency medical personnel. And we use the existing term in the municipal law statutes for that. Finally, we have the effective date. The act would take effect on July 1st of this year and apply to new healthcare projects initiated on or after that date. If there's an application for a certificate of need that's already in process on that date, and one or more persons have been granted interested party status, which is a particular status where they get to be quite fully involved in the whole certificate of need process. So if somebody's been granted interested party status, then we're going to operate under the old rules. The jurisdictional thresholds and exclusions that required them to get the CON under the old rules would continue to apply until the final decision is made on the application. But if there's a certificate of need application already in process on that date and no one has been granted interested party status, then this would allow the applicant to withdraw the application and just proceed with their project without finishing the CON process.
And the reason that you are sitting there telling us about it is because if Nolan, if we have fewer applications for certificates of need, we have fewer people paying a fee to apply for a certificate.
Yeah, so that's what I'm putting up here is the existing, in this chapter, there are fees. And so the board is required to charge a fee for the filing of a certificate of need application that is at a rate of 1/8% of project costs, 0.125% of project costs. There's a maximum, so maximum fee cannot exceed $20,000. Minimum fee is $250 regardless of project cost. So with these increased thresholds and additional exclusions, we are likely to see fewer certificate of need applications and therefore fewer fees.
And are there bill backs as well?
Bill back, then no, there is a little bit in here sort of baked into it that additional expenses for the specific CON can be billed back to the applicant. But no, this is exempt from the CON. So there's a particular carve out in the bill back process that exempts CON.
Thank you.
So by example, what would a certificate of need for an ambulance be?
Nolan.
Oh, that's,
What's
The
the
cost,
Are
you
you
mean the
talking
cost?
about cost or under existing law? What does it look like to get a?
the cost of the fee, because from 20,000 to 250.
Oh, well, under the under the law, and the law has not changed on this, the rate is 0.125% of project cost. So it would depend on what the
Ambulance.
cost, what the cost of
Thanks.
the acquisition, and it would have to be high enough to have triggered the CON jurisdiction under the existing rules anyway, which would, it would be a fairly expensive, I don't know how much ambulances are, I shouldn't opine, but it might have to be several ambulances.
Thank you very much, Jen. I appreciate your time. Nolan, you have a fiscal note. Tell us about it.
Record, Noel Langwell, Joint Fiscal Office.
Oh, thank you.
Actually, you want me to share my screen?
That'd be delightful. Thank you.
All right. For the record, Noel Langwell, the Joint Fiscal Office. So over the past 7 years, the Green Mountain Care Board has collected approximately $50,000 per year on average in fees related to review of certificate of need applications. The board estimates that the bill could reduce this revenue by as much as $20,000 per year on average. However, they feel that the loss can be absorbed within their budget and that the resources could be deployed elsewhere because they're kind of short-staffed as it is. So
Okay, so they'd be doing less work, but they'll have less money.
a little less money and
Different work.
different work.
Different work. Representative Maslin.
Yeah, thank you. I guess it's a question for Jen of the committee or you, Nolan. Are we doing this just to keep up with the times? Basically, if there.
Jennifer Kirby, Legislative Council, I mean, you could ask the healthcare committee the purpose, but yeah, I think a lot of providers, both providers and the Green Mountain Care Board proposed increasing the threshold. So I think there may be a combination of interest in fewer certificate of need applications required and fewer major projects needing to trigger.
It all makes good sense.
Yeah, large enough to trigger oversight.
Any other questions for Nolan?
Or Nolan, do you have an idea of like, is the purchase of an MRI machine kick this off? I mean, what is it? What is a normal expense by a healthcare facility that would trigger the certificate of need?
Could be machinery if it's yeah, there is a very good example. Or if they want to build a new wing, right, and that kind of stuff. Large capital expenses.
And how many certificates of need are applied for on an annual basis? Any idea?
Do not.
I believe there's currently 6 pending in various stages that they may have been going on for long periods of time. They're all on the Green Mountain Care Board's website.
And is the existence of the fee act as a reduction in the number of investments that are made in equipment?
I can't imagine. I'm going to speculate, but if you're making a $2 million purchase, $20,000 isn't going to make a right?
Any other questions for Nolan?
If I may, I want to answer.
You may, indeed.
Representative Higley's earlier question, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Bill back does pay for those positions.
Okay, thanks.
Related to the other thing we were talking about, not this bill.
Yes,
Great. Okay, thank you.
I just want to make
We're
sure.
talking about bill back in the context of this bill.
Oh, I'm
I was like,
My apologies, it should have been clear.
it's fine. Okay, thank you. Representative Higley, do you feel like you have enough background to vote? Yes, on this bill that we're about to vote on?
Probably shouldn't. I don't have enough information.
Okay,
Let me just
I'm gonna-
step out of the room.
no, because that's really like, that's conscious abstaining, which I can't actually, endorse. Thank you. That's the word. Jen, can you do like a 1-minute overview of the whole thing again? Thank you.
Put it up on the screen.
No.
Okay.
The big picture is fairly straightforward.
Yeah,
Okay.
Don't sound good, but
Okay.
Jen Harvey, Legislative Council again. So this bill is increasing the monetary thresholds that trigger certificate of need jurisdiction for the Green Mountain Care Board. So it will make it so moving things from 1.5 or, well, actually look at it, tell you what they are, but moving the threshold significantly higher than they are now. So under current law, a certificate of need is necessary for a non-hospital facility. If they're building something that costs more than 1.5 million, this is going up to 10 million.
it's going up to 10.
10 million, yeah, for hospital and for hospitals as well, although their current threshold is lower, is higher than that. So for purchasing equipment, it's going up to 5 million. For offering a new service, it's going up to a $3 million annual cost. So increasing these all by 5 to 6 times roughly for the thresholds on those. And then adding 2 new exemptions from the certificate of need process entirely, fully depreciated medical equipment and emergency and non-emergency ground ambulance services, ambulance agencies and their equipment and supplies. Would just be for anybody who's already applied for a certificate of need under the current law, if nobody has intervened as an interested person, then they're allowed to withdraw their application. Whoever's applied for the facility withdraw their application. If somebody has been granted interested party status, then they keep going under the old rules here through the rest of that project. But any new project as of July 1st would have the new rules apply.
Appreciate that. And I think I could go.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jen. Anyone like to make a motion?
Sure.
You know the bill number, Jim? Or the- Okay.
I move, that's 96 as we see.
Favorably?
What's that?
Favorably? Favorably.
Favorably, yeah, sorry.
Wonderful. Love it.
Today.
Okay. Representative Maslin moves that we vote favorably for H 96 as received. I recently learned you don't need seconds on bills and committee. So that was a fascinating update to my procedures. And so I thank you so much, Representative Holcomb, but it wasn't needed. And any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
I sure will. Representative Brannigan,
Yes.
and I will vote yes.
Just say your name aloud.
Bridget Burkhart, Representative Burkhart, yes. Representative Feltus.
Yes.
Representative Higley,
Yes.
Representative Holcomb,
Yes.
Representative Kimball,
Yes.
Representative Maslin. Representative Odie is absent. Representative Wazazak also absent. Representative Canfield
Yes.
and Representative Kornheiser.
Yes.
Well,
Thank you. Will you tell us the vote?
Oh, sorry.
Do the math.
yes, so the H 96 passes out of committee favorably with a vote